Hi, welcome to Sheepish, episode 51. Today is Saturday, November 8th, 2014, and I'm Holly. Welcome everybody. I know it's been a little while. I was gone for the retreat and did not post any videos while I was there because again, I was having too much fun. I kept forgetting. Um, but yeah, and then when I got back to work, it was jump in with both feet, even though I gave myself a couple of days off. Um, yeah, on Wednesday, I looked at my calendar and realized I'd been back in the office for a full week, and seemed like it had been so much longer. Um, Not to say that was a bad thing, it was just that it felt like I was just continually playing catch up. Worth it though. And we'll talk more about the retreat and the trip in a bit. So, what's happening Chez Sheepish? There are a few things I want to go over. First, we quietly had our second birthday. Thank you guys so much for continuing to come back and watch. And for those of you who are just joining us today for the first time, thank you for giving me a shot. Um, Big, huge puppy hearts to you all. Thank you. You have no clue how that makes me feel. Maybe you do. Maybe. I don't know. So thanks a lot for that. I feel really blessed that I have friends out there, people who have become my friends through this podcast. Um, so yeah. All right. So also administrati. One of the things that I know that I am slacking on, well, a couple of things. I know I need to draw for 2 prizes. That's not happening today. I can't do it. Part of that's because I still have a ton of things to get out. So yeah, I'm a slacker. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that brings me into going forward. We are 2. So one of the things that I've decided that I'm not going to do going forward is I'm not going to do the monthly prize for your socks. The reason is I'm getting too far behind, and that part, as much as it makes me happy to send out my stash to the world, I can't keep up with it. I really can't. So I'm going to get through all the backlog and we're going to be done with that. Doesn't mean that I won't ever have prizes. It just means that those prizes will be given out at random times when we do knit-alongs, when I just have something and I want to I want to give it away. So yeah, so that's the difference heading going forward. I hope you guys don't mind. I will still have an FO thread for each month because I really do like to see what you guys are posting, whether it's socks or sweaters or hats or mittens, or even if it's just other crafty stuff and cooking, sewing, cross stitching. That all fits into that crafty stuff. So I want to see what you guys are doing. So I will go ahead. That's where we're going forward from here forward. We're just going to do a FO thread, and I will do occasional prizes. I figured I'd front load that because there's a ton of stuff to talk about. There's all sorts of retreat stuff, and there might have been a lot of enhancing the stash. A lot. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started with the current roster. So current roster, still living in my Slip Stitch Studios. I think it's a Sock Plus bag in their Harry Potter fabric, which I just got an email, or I got a couple emails about their new Bag of the Month club, and I might need to order it. Especially since I was good last night and didn't order Fat Squirrel's bag. We're just gonna, yeah. So I am still working on sock 2 of my Hermione's Everyday Socks. The sock pattern is by, I believe it's Erica Luder. And this is on the CJ Knit her sock base, and this is the 12th Doctor colorway. All right, let me get that out. And I really do love how this is knitting up. You might notice I have switched from my DPNs to a pair of carbons that I have. And these are a US 1.5. I don't know if we're actually going to get, there we go. US 1.5, US carbon, or not US carbons, Knitter's Pride carbons. I don't know. I used to love these needles, and now I'm kind of meh on them. And I don't know if it's the fact that just over time my needle preference has changed. The tip just definitely is not as pointy as tips that I'm used to and tips that I prefer, but it's getting the job done. I find that I knit a little faster on them. The second sock, for some reason, has just kind of been stagnating. And I don't work on it all that often. I need to work on it more. Part of the reason why I went with the carbons is that I know my gauge is just a touch looser on the carbons than it is if I switch to either my Chiagos or the Hayahayas. And since I was knitting these on DPNs, my gauge was also a little looser. Really, it's minuscule, but it does make a difference. So I switched to these because they were available and I knew that they wouldn't make a huge difference on my gauge. So that's sock 2 so far. I finished the ribbing and the first couple of repeats on that leg in the car on the way back from Maine. I believe I did that in either New Hampshire or Connecticut. There wasn't nearly as much knitting going on in the car as I had thought there might be. And mostly it was because, Michelle and I were talking a lot. And we switched off on driving and stuff. So living in a new bag, and I'll talk about the bag in a minute, is an almost finished hat. So I decided when I got home and I was in need of a project, those are in the wrong place, that I would mine my stash. And I've acquired some good yarn in my stash, not to toot my own horn, but But I had picked up this Miss Babs colorway. So this is Miss Babs, the Yummy Hand Paint Sport. So her 3-ply superwash sport yarn in the Perfectly Reckless colorway. I fell in love with this. I wound it and fell in love with it all over again. So, and I was like, I know me well enough to know that I don't wear a whole lot of sport weight socks. So I decided to do some math and cast on a version of the sock head hat. It's like a sport head hat. I did a lot of math for this. Well, not a lot. I mean, I did a fair amount of math for this. Figuring out stitch counts, and then figuring that this is going to be a template for another design when I get around to that. I'm kind of thinking about it. This sweater is the inspiration for said design in my head, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, so this is the Miss Babs, the Yummy and the Perfectly Reckless. It is divine to knit up. Working with it, actually, it was nice to work with. It's really been nice to work with. Yeah. So I'm in that stage right now of, do I want to do a whole heck of a lot of stockinette, a lot more stockinette, or not? I'll put this on. So you can see here that it's fairly slouchy. I think I'll probably do a couple more inches and then start the decreases. What do you think? And this is probably how I'm going to wear it. If not, pull down a little bit more in the front. I cannot wear hats like all pushed back like that and looking fashionable, and I don't know. I think my head is shaped weirdly because they all fly off. I envy people that can wear the hats fashionably back where you see their hair, and yeah, I can't. Um, so that's probably how I'm going to wear it. So what do you think? Um, I will. I am actually, I've got a notebook right now that's got all of my mods in here, and we'll see what I do I'll probably just go ahead, write everything up really quickly and put it up on Rav, I think. But sport weight yarn, size 4 needles, whoops, size 4 needles, and I will say that that the Yummy was not making my hands happy in the rib on the size 4 needles. Once I switched to stockinette stitch, it flew. Or no, I'm sorry, these are size 3 needles. Okay, there was a really weird glitch right there, and I know it caught the audio, but yeah. I might cut that out, so if you're seeing this. So yeah, no, these are size 3 needles, sorry. This probably would have been happier on 4, but I love how much it pulls in. I love the look of it. My hands were yelling at me during the ribbing part. But yeah, once I switch to stockinette stitch, it flies. Or it seems to. This has actually become my car knitting for a while because at a long light, I can get around most of one side. And because it's stockinette stitch, I can just pull the needles through and then just throw it on the passenger seat and be done with it for a while. So there is that. I'm going to put that back in there, and I'm finding all sorts of stuff going on because I haven't gone through the yarn part of the acquisitions and stuff. Yeah. I'm going to put this in the current roster solely because it's not officially done. And when I say it's not officially done, it just needs to be skeined up, washed. It needs to be super thwacked. But this is 2 bags worth of hobbledehoy Flight of the TARDIS. So the hobbledehoy batlings, sorry for the crinkling. The Flight of the TARDIS colorway, so it's a merino soy silk bamboo sparkle. And I got 2 bags of this that are 3.1 ounces each. You guys may remember when I talked about them a while ago. This is what I worked on mostly at Highlands on the Fly. Oh, there we go. So you can see that there are a couple of different things going on. So over here we've got a nice 2-ply, and right here, probably the last 50 or so yards, I got a really, really lumpy chain ply. Now, the only reason I switched off, and you shouldn't switch off, I understand that, but the only reason I switched off is because even though these had the exact same amount, I obviously spun one thinner than the other. And this was basically my quick and dirty ply, or my quick and dirty spin. I just wanted to get it, out of the bag, onto the wheel, and then ply this puppy up. But I had a pretty good amount left. So my chain plying is over plying at best. I'm not really, really fond of it. And when I use this yarn for something, I probably won't ever use that bit of it. But I'm okay with that because it's my yarn. This isn't going to anybody else. You can see here that it's got this little nubbly thing because it just applied back on. Yeah, that's how much energy's in there. Yeah. But my 2-ply is awesome. And I think that's mostly because I really need to practice chain plying more. When I'm doing it, I love it. When I'm not doing it, I'm like, meh. But yeah. So this needs to be skeined up and then washed and thwacked and dry. And I don't know what it is. I don't even know. I probably go from like a fingering weight 2-ply all the way up to a worsted. I mean, I've got thick and thin spots, and I didn't care. It was just so lovely to work with. So, oops, let's see if we can get it. There we go. hobbledehoyfibers.com. Liz does great work. Yeah, everybody saw, or everybody at the retreat saw me working and saw me basically fly through the first 3.1 ounces. And then saw me get the start the second. So this is my project from the retreat, and it's still going. So there is that. Now I've got actually a huge, oh, I'm not exactly sure what that was. I'll find it later. So that brings me to alumni roster. Now I did not get out the sock blockers for these. They're here somewhere. I'm not looking for them because I don't want to. But my July socks are done. Yay! So you can tell which one was the first one. This one was the first one, only because I was looking at the heel, trying to measure it out. This is my second sock. I finished this sock right after crossing over on the way back, right after crossing over from Maine into New Hampshire. And then I was like, oh, I should probably work on something else then, huh? So I bound off using Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. I cast on with Judy's Magic Cast On, and I did my regular 2-1 increase, so 2 increases and 1 knit plain row. Knit that to 60 stitches. Did my Fish Lips Kiss heel. Knit on the leg, and then just did that 2x2 rib. And they are wonderful. I need to actually weave in the ends on both, as you can see. But they're done. So once I weave in the ends, I can start wearing them. And I have this much left. This was Into the World, Gloucester base. It's the Mercy Hardigan colorway, of course, Doctor Who related character. And I've got this much left. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. I really need to just start a bag or a basket or something. Baskets would be bad because George could get into them, but of just all of my sock yarn ends and odds and ends. But yay! So that makes pair of socks number 7 off the needles. So that's that. So let's go ahead and talk about Highlands on the Fly. And the reason I'm putting this in with the scouting report is because there's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. Actually, no. I'm going to do the scouting report because there are other things that I got that were not Highlands on the Fly related or trip related. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those, and then we'll talk about Highlands on the Fly and all the things that I got because, wow. So, first up, I've been talking about this for 2 episodes, and I have yet to show it. So I told you guys that my bestie, Danny, went to a fiber retreat in, I believe it's Yellow Springs, Ohio, or something like that. It's Amy Beth and Fat Squirrel Speaks has talked about this festival. Um, and she asked me, Danny, my friend, my bestie, asked me if I wanted her to stop and get something or take a look at a booth, have her take a look at a booth for me. And she did. Fiber optic. I know, I've told you guys about this. It is Kimber's Merino Silk Blend. Whoa, there we go. 4 ounces, and it's the chocolate to aqua gradient. I know. It's beautiful. It's squishy. I really do want to get this on the wheel at some point. There's so much that I have. But, so, Danny, thank you. Yeah. So that's that. I finally showed it. It's been sitting right at my computer for ages, waiting for me to show. Sorry about all of the crinkling, but you know. So there is that. Now, also, I've seen this on a bunch of podcasts that I watch. I haven't really seen The Worsted Weight, but I've also said that I got my Highland Handmaids Snapshots of Maine Yarn Club from, this is the September colorway, I believe, and I just hadn't shown it. Now, if I have shown these, sorry, but you know, they were, again, right here, so I figured I had. Yeah. So the colorway is called In Flight, and this is on the Black Ash Worsted, which is a 60/40 merino bamboo blend, and it's about 300 yards. This is the same base that I knit my barley hat out of. And it's really nice to work with, so I'm kind of excited. Oh, George hair. So that was September. I have October. If you have not received yours, and I can't imagine that you are in the club and you haven't received yours yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, although, again, I believe everybody's received theirs by now. If not, sorry, turn away, walk away for a few minutes. I'm going to put the picture up. This was the inspiration for October. I know, right? Absolutely gorgeous. And this, so from the Ornamental Gardens at the University of Maine, Orono. Now, Heather, she writes these essays every month, and they are fabulous. They're wonderfully written, and it really makes me want to see Maine as she sees it. I mean, I love Maine, don't get me wrong, but she's got this love for it that makes me want to visit the places that she's gone to take these pictures and see it through her eyes. But anyway, all of that to say, oh my God, this is beautiful. So the colorway is called Blaze of Glory. And this is on the Green Ash Worsted, which is just a superwash merino, about 220 yards. I love it. Heather, you are flipping awesome. So there is that. So if you've turned away, you can turn back now. I tried not to say too much to spoil you at all, but you know, I'm not good when it comes to spoilers. So that said, I also managed to catch 2 Jinx Yarns updates. And again, I don't know if I've shown these before. I don't think I have. But this was update number 1. So this is Jinx Yarns Strong Sock in the Vintage Jerseys colorway. And oh, I love it. I saw it and I had to have it. Don't know what it's going to be. I actually haven't had any Jinx Yarns in my stash. I've never worked with it before, so that's going to happen. I've been doing that a lot recently. And then this is the November Rainbow. This is a little dark, but if I remember correctly on her podcast, she was basically saying it was very similar to her October Rainbow, but overwashed, overdyed in brown. There was like a mistake that, yeah, I don't know, but it's beautiful. And this is 4 rows of orange, 4 rows of sand, 4 rows of green, 4 rows of blue, 4 rows of purple, 4 rows of brown. I can't wait. So there's that. But I managed to catch another Jinx update. Yeah, I did. So I was with Michelle, I believe. I was with Michelle when she saw on Instagram that Laura had posted a picture of the dyeing process for a colorway that was Hogwarts themed. And I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. The colors are beautiful. When? I need to stalk. And I know that Michelle told me the date and time that the update was. I stalked that update. I refreshed and refreshed and refreshed. And managed. So this is the colorway that was shown. This is her strong sock self striping. The colorway is called House Cup. And that's because we've got blue, bronze, green, light gray, yellow, black, deep red, and golden yellow. So we've got all 4 houses represented in this. Yes, I'm giggling because I'm like, I got it, I got it, I got it. But while I was in there, I saw this. This is her strong sock self-striping. Wow, that's just a tongue twister. And the colorway is ornaments. So this is one of her holiday colorways. And it's red, green, gold, dark blue, more red, green, light blue, and silver. I mean, that's just fabulous. So I cannot wait to start working with these. And of those 4 skeins, I don't know what's getting cast on first because they're all kind of awesome. So Laura, thank you. They are wonderful, and they shipped out, oh my God, quickly. They shipped out, like I had ordered them, and I want to say like a couple of hours, like for the first one, it really was like a couple of hours later, I got the shipping notice. The second one, it was a few hours, but like, holy crap, it was great. So there is that. And while I was on, looking at Laura's update, the first update that I picked up, I may have fallen down and gone boom relatively hard. Yeah. Because Ellie from FO and Die, from the FO and Die podcast, had posted on Facebook, that she was posting an update, and then also posted it on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw the Royal Mail stamp that was on my package because I love getting mail from other countries. Yeah. So this is one of her Doctor Who colorways. And she's been doing a colorway for each of the episodes in season 8. So this is from the first episode. So from Deep Breath. There should be more round things on the wall. She and her partner Dave have been working on this, and it's kind of washing out, but it's their gallium base, which is a 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and it's about 400 meters. And yeah, how awesome, right? The second one is also, I believe, one of the Doctor Who colorways, and it's called You Saw a Star Being Born. Also on the galleon base, so superwash wool nylon. I'm kind of in this theme, you know. I'd pick up the snapshots of Maine Yarn Club, but I'm not going to spoil anybody on that. And then I did a pre-order, which was surprisingly quick. This is Christmas in New York. So it's all these teals, and you got this teal, and you got this appley green going into a grassy green, and the different shades of teal, and you've got this beautiful, beautiful burgundy. Also on the galleon base. So for those of you on Instagram who are wondering what was actually in the package, oh, sorry for that. So that's all that I can actually remember as actual enhancement. I'm sure there's something else that I've gotten since, but yeah. So I'm going back on my yarn diet. Well, except for one larger purchase, but that's going to happen eventually. So Highlands on the fly. Michelle and I drove up. We drove up on Wednesday. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw all of the pictures that we were posting on our drive up. Sorry, it's a gingerbread latte. It's out, and it's my crack, and yeah. Anyway. So we drove up, and we drove from Virginia, so from Arlington, where we were at. We drove up to Hyde Park, New York, which I didn't realize was so close to the Dutchess County Fairgrounds where, the New York State, Sheep and Wool Festival is held, also known as Rhinebeck. Michelle did, though, so. So we drove up. We stopped off at Hyde Park. We wanted to see FDR's house. If we had had time, we would have stayed to see the library, but we ran out of time. But we got there. We got one of the house tours, which was really nice. The grounds are beautiful, and I really want to go back. Apparently, there are some really good exhibits at the library, at the Presidential Library, and I really want to see those at some point. I'm sure there are always really good exhibits, so yeah, I want to head back up. But we stopped off. We had lunch there. Like, we got there about, I want to say it was like just after 12, maybe like 12:15, because the next showing of the house was at 1, and then we had an hour. Like that. Or like the next tour was at 1. The tour lasted about an hour. And then, so we had some time. So we ate lunch there. Relaxed for a little bit, checked in, took pictures, had a picture of me chatting with the president and the first lady. Took a selfie. People are like, oh my God, really? And met up with our tour group. And our tour guide was awesome. You could tell that she was having fun with it. You could tell that she loved history, and that she was passionate about her place. I mean, she's a park ranger, but she was passionate about the history of Hyde Park and the surrounding area. I mean, yes, she has to be knowledgeable because she is a tour guide, but you could tell that she really loved it. We had a few people who had seen a few movies about, about the presidency, and who had also seen the Ken Burns documentary, which, totally did. And that was kind of cool. Like, you could tell that when there was incorrect information given in the most recent movie that came out, I cannot remember the name of it, but Bill Murray was FDR, about the romantic relationships She was like, no, 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 no. This has not been, they kind of looked at this and assumed a whole bunch of things and didn't do the research on that. And I was like, you are my type of person. You were like, about the history, about all of the romantic attachments that we know of, and you're not going to shy away from that, but you'll be the first to say, no, 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 no. We don't know that actually happened. The evidence is not there. So I was like, kudos to you. So we took a look at the house and the grounds, and they're beautiful. And as we were walking back, we were like, well, if we want to get to Webb's, we need to leave now. Because we were like, well, if we're going up to Maine and we're driving, we should go to Webb's. Then we thought, well, maybe we don't need to go. Maybe we can hit it on the way back. Well, Webb's isn't open on Sunday. So we decided to forego the library tour and go to Webb's. And that took about, let's see, we left at 2-ish. We got to Webb's at about 4:30. Webb's closes at 5:30, so, we were comfortable going in, spending that hour power shopping. And now, if you've never been to Webb's, it's big. It's very big. I can see how people would go in completely overwhelmed. Would I like to have Webb's as my LYS? I would not say no. However, I didn't see everything that I was interested in. I didn't see much of. Now, one of the things that I did like was that I was able to see color, I was able to see some of the yarns that I'd heard talked about or seen on Instagram in person. So the entire Mrs. Crosby line, or maybe not the entire, but most of that, I got to see in person and feel. And while there was not enough of any one color and anything to make anything for me, or there weren't colors that I would like, it was nice to know that they were there. And, hey, the fact that people are buying the yarn and that there's not enough for me, that's fine, because that means that it's a really popular yarn. So, yeah. I was kind of looking at the needle selection. I didn't see anything that I really, really wanted. So I actually did not spend a lot of, or I spent money in Webb's, but I didn't come out with a whole heck of a lot. I was looking at the Lazy Kates, and Shocked has a Lazy Kate, a travel Lazy Kate, or I don't know if it's really travel. It can be taken apart. I'd been looking at it online. I didn't want to commit to it online, and I saw it there, and I was like, it's mine. So there's that. And then I kept coming back to this gorgeous, gorgeous cloud, because it feels like it's a cloud of lusciousness. So this is Frabjous Fibers, which I've never had, the hand-dyed silky cashmerino. So it's 70% superfine merino, 15% cashmere, and 15% mulberry silk. And the colorway is Cottage Garden. Now, and I love how they actually give you information on the fiber and how to spin it and that it's feltable. Yeah. So this, I wasn't looking for fiber, but it had to come home with me, and it's beautiful and soft, and oh. So there was that. Michelle actually went in there with 3 sweaters in mind, and she got yarn for 2. We were kind of going around and around and around, and she made some really good choices, and I'm kind of thinking now, going, oh, well, maybe I want to get some yarn for you. Because yeah. But she got 2 sweaters worth of yarn, and she was searching for that third, and it just wasn't working out. So yeah. She got that 3rd sweater's worth of yarn, but not at Webb's. So we walked out of Webb's at like just after 5:30. I was taking pictures of the place, and I'm like posting them on Instagram going, we couldn't come to New England without a stop here. And then from there, we drove to Boston. Now, all throughout our trip, it had been rainy, like raining off and on. Like when we got to Hyde Park, it wasn't rainy. It was just gray and overcast and cold. Um, Between Hyde Park and Webb's, it got rainy again. Between Webb's and, excuse me, Boston, it was like downpour. I had done the drive from, we stopped off right as we got into Pennsylvania, I think it was. And we switched off. So she drove that very first leg, I drove the middle 2 legs, and then she drove that final leg. And so we drove into Boston and stayed at a beautiful, beautiful hotel. Ate at a wonderful restaurant that was right next door. If you're in the theater district, Abbey Road. It is a great, the food was fabulous at this restaurant. And the cocktail menu also very good. But yeah, so we stayed there. When we ate there, we stayed at the hotel next door. And then the next morning got up and set off for Maine. So we drove through Boston, realizing that the GPS was not happy. It kept trying to take us places, again, with the flicker. But the GPS kept trying to take us places that we couldn't turn at. And then we started trying to chase a patch of sunlight that was coming through. So as we left Boston, we had a brief period of no rain. And then it just started to rain again. And if any of you actually looked at the news, looked at the weather going up in the Northeast, we were driving into a nor'easter. I mean, and we'd gotten through those outer bands and driving straight through. But yeah, so we drove up. We got to the New England Outdoor Center at about between 3 and 3:30ish, I think, on Thursday. Checked in, brought my wheel in, grabbed spots, and then went to check out our cabin. And by 4 o'clock, we both were sitting down. I had my wheel out, and wine in hand. So we were greeted with our gift bags. So Highlands on the Fly, hosted jointly by Sarah of Fiber Trek, Heather of Highland Handmaids and Fiberista Files, and Katie of the Knitting on the Fly podcast. And yeah, so we had those, and then when we got back to our room, so we got back to our cabin and we chose our room, we were all, okay, let's find out what's in these things, because as you do. So of course I had to look at the sock yarn first. So this is Fiberista Files, and it's Heather's Sugar Maple Sock, which is a 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and about 425 yards. And the color is called Mountainside. And this really does make me think of the lake that's there, the mountains in the distance. And I've actually got my computer background up right now, and I changed it to one of the pictures that I took in Maine, and yeah. So yarn, yay. And then there were samples. So Dirty Water Dye Works gave us 2 samples and a coupon code, which is nice. We got ring stitch markers. So just plain ring stitch markers from Bling Your String. Okay, really? Come on. There we go. And they'll fit up to a 6.5 millimeter needle. Stitch Pray Love included a sample lotion bar as well as their lip stuff. So I have yet to try that, and I will actually try that in a bit. K.A. Trinkles or Kate Trinkles contributed these wooden buttons with the state of Maine on them. I know. Okay, let's see if I can get that to focus. Come on. There we go. So etsy.com/shop/KA Trinkles. So that's really cool. And let's see. World on a String Designs was there. And Alicia was really, really sweet. We got a postcard from the Island Wool Company. A coupon code from Susan Claudino. And I'm covering that up. A coupon from Happy Knits. And a coupon from Three Waters Farm. If I can make that work. Yep. And we got the Frankenfingers pattern from Elizabeth Green Musselman, who is Dark Matter Knits, and apparently there is a coupon here that I'm covering up. But yes, I had actually been looking at the Frankenfingers pattern. I had not yet purchased it, so that was really nice to have that in our basket or in our bags. And then Mountain Meadow Wool also gave us a coupon code. And they are from Buffalo, Wyoming. And that's just a gorgeous, gorgeous picture, isn't it? So that was just in the gift bags. That's really, really nice. So thank you to everybody who contributed to those gift bags. Thank you, Sarah, for, getting together with all of these people and making sure that they got us everything. So that was the gift bag. And Thursday night was great. We all, it was a bunch of us who had seen each other before, who got to, there were hugs and squealing going on because we were like, oh my God, the squeeze. And then meeting new people. There were new people there this year, and, this year, one of them, when we were leaving, Deb's, I believe it's Happy Place Deb's on Instagram. She's a sweetheart. She came from England, and she said, when we were saying goodbye on Sunday, that she's thoroughly convinced that knitters are just friends that haven't met yet. That, you always have a friend in a knitter. And for the most part, it's so very true. So I had a fabulous time. The staff at the NEOC were great, as usual. They had more staff, it seemed like, this year for us, and they were intrigued by all the women knitting and spinning, and that we were fun. that we weren't just quiet little old ladies, that we were of all ages and having a lot of fun. And yeah, so there was that. So Friday was that, or Thursday was that. Friday we had classes. Friday so I took a class from Erin from Bling Your String on stitch markers, on how to make stitch markers. Yeah, I made those. So I've got the dangly stitch markers because I had to try the hardest ones. So I made the dangly stitch markers. Let's see if we can get it to focus again. Come on, focus. All right, it doesn't want to focus. And then I made some of the excuse me, sorry for all the sneezing. And then I made the small round stitch markers. And I may have stamped my own Highlands on the Fly for my keychain. So Thank you so much, Erin, for teaching that. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't know that I'll actually ever do them, but it's nice to know that I can. I had a lot of fun with that. And you never know, I might do a few, every once in a while and give them away. But really, I'll leave like the big push of, yeah, to Erin because she does a great job and they're all handmade. So yeah, we had classes on Friday and then just hanging out and talking to everybody. And then Saturday, I know I'm kind of flying through some of this because I looked down and I saw that I'm at 50 minutes. So Saturday we had market, and I had jokingly said I'm going to buy one of everything from market or something from every vendor at market, something like that. I was joking. Oops. So yeah. So first up, well, let's see. So I'm actually just going to kind of go in and just kind of go around and not necessarily say what order I bought things in because, yeah. At one point, well, when we got back to our room, Michelle challenged me because this is a new bag that I got, and this is from One Lupin Yarns. And she challenged me to see if I could fit all the yarn that I had purchased into this. I did it. I mean, and granted, her challenge was mostly so that way she, it was all put away. But, So, at the top, I got a couple of Tix trinkets. So, these are shawl closures, and you can use them to close sweaters. This one's smaller, so this is like the better than a button, which is designed to just close a sweater. This is more of a shawl one, and it's a decorative. And Tix trinkets, they were being sold by Katie. Her mom makes these, and it's tixtrinkets.etsy.com. And if you remember from last year, I did buy a couple last year, and I do love them because I tend to make the shawlettes and wrap them around. So that way, if I can have a trinket there, Tix trinket there, they don't fall off. They don't fly open and get all on my nerves. And then Shipyard Point Glassworks was there again this year. And I had one thing that I needed from them, an orifice hook. That orifice hook is nowhere to be found right now because of all the spinning, and it's in one of these bags. But they are spglassworks.com. They do wonderful, wonderful work. I had forgotten an orifice hook. So I bought one. But I was borrowing people's crochet hooks up until that point. Northern Solstice Alpaca Farm was there again. And last year I bought a skein of beautiful, beautiful cream alpaca. This year, I just couldn't resist the cute, is what it was. I couldn't resist the cute, and I got these mitts, these fingerless mitts that have little dots on them. And they were great. I mean, they're great. They're warm. So thank you. And now we get into, oh, that's where that went. Everything else. So A Riot of Color was there. Susan from A Riot of Color was there, and she is one of the nicest people. I got to talk to her a lot through the weekend, and she's got this incredible wheel that's like all metal. I want to say it's like aluminum, and it's beautiful. But I hit her booth. So I got some of her Rumpus Base in the Johnny Jump Ups colorway. some of her racket sock base in the Blue Moon colorway. So I was in a green kind of a phasey thing. And this I was just really, really intrigued. Her Brannigan base in the Cranberry Spritzer colorway. And I was really intrigued by the whole Tweety bits going through. So A Riot of Color. She's on Etsy. ariotofcolor.etsy.com. I don't think it's going to show. I think it's going to wash out. There we go. ariotofcolor.etsy.com. And she's just really wonderful to work with. And she's awesome. I'm like, and let's see how many more things I can say. I'm looking for things that... And then we had Upton Yarns. So, from Newcastle, Maine. And so this is a Cotswold Romney fingering weight. And this is definitely not, for me, next to skin soft on my neck. But on my hands, they'd be fine. So I got enough to make a pair of Colorwork fingerless mitts. I actually could probably get full mittens out of these. In the, I believe it's garnet and granite colorway. And those are actually a great deal. These were like only $8.50, I think, a piece. And so uptonyarns.com. I'm like, is the rest of this Highland Handmaids? It might be. And then one of the vendors, I forget who, I have their card somewhere. They were selling Jamberry. I've never tried Jamberry. I've got plenty of friends who sell it, but I couldn't resist their little knitting wraps. So, and she had actually designed a set of wraps for the conference, for the retreat. So, but I'll give them a try at some point, and we'll see how they work. I am notoriously hard on my hands, so yeah. All right, so I believe the rest of this, oh, there's more down there, trust me. So I haven't gotten to the one loop and stuff yet. Okay. So lots and lots of Highland Handmaids because Heather knows I love her. So this is a silver maple sock in Beach House. Oh, and that was just a little thingy thing. So that's the merino bamboo nylon blend. And it's gorgeous. Oh. Then also in silver maple sock, the classics. So you've got this like muted olivey silvery green going into this plummy pink. In the sugar maple sock, I got Katahdin, which is a colorway I've wanted for a while. In her red maple sock, which is a merino tencel blend, this is A Good Day for Mischief. So you've got that charcoal going into the lighter silvers, which bleeds into this red, into this beautiful, beautiful gold. And then also in the red maple sock is her Pride and Prejudice colorway. And you know me, I cannot pass up anything that has to do with Pride and Prejudice. So the purples, and yeah. And then in the mountain maple sock, which is 100% superwash BFL, I got the His and Hers colorway. Oops. So you've got that teal going into the charcoal, going into that beautiful, beautiful orangey red, and going into the coral. And then also in the mountain maple sock, the Old Port colorway. So you've got that really rich navy, almost purple, going into this gray, this charcoaly gray in the middle. That's like a slatey blue almost, like charcoal slate. And then going into this kind of federal red. And then the black cherry lace, which is 1,100 yards of 100% fine merino. No clue what I'm going to do with it, in the Cortland colorway. So that is not all. I kind of went up and down, and I visited Heather a few times. I visited a few of the people a few times, and it was great. So let me get all of this back in here so that way I can corral it. Because, sorry again for the crinkling, but back. So at one loop, oh, I knew I had something else from Mariah of Color. So from Mariah of Color, I also got this braid of fiber, which is 100% Polworth, and it's organic, and it's a one of a kind. And the color, and it's just called 1009 one of a kind. So you can see all of those green, like yellowy greens into purples. Then at one loop, oh yeah, you can still see the lusciousness. This is 4 ounces of a hand-painted yak silk blend. I have never spun with yak, so I believe it's Susan at One Loop and gave me some advice on that. So I am looking forward to spinning that. And then One Loop also had the bags. So I got one of these big bags and then one of these smaller project bags. And then back to Heather. So Highland Handmaids, this is the Pitch Pine Top in Shetland, and the colorway is called Half Licked Lollipop. There is a picture that Heather took of me in my hero where I was just kind of cradling the yarn, or cradling the fiber. And then this is her white spruce top in a merino tencel blend, and it's called My Mistress's Eyes. I know, right? Beautiful and soft, lovely. And then, so I can't leave well enough alone. Bling Your String. So I got 2 big bags and 1 small Notions bag this year. And so the Notions bag I couldn't pass up because it's got owls on it. You guys know how I feel about owls, and it's got a little owl charm. Okay, I can't get that to focus. There we go. And then that one, which I just fell in love with. And you've got all of the stitch markers that go along with that. And then the Highlands on the Fly one. I love this. And we got the etching machine, which did, I don't know if it's going to show up. Highlands on the Fly 2014, and the Deer Charm. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely made out like a bandit on Saturday. Totally did. Now, also, we had door prizes on Saturday. Door prize Saturday night. And I won this. Whoops. So I won this bag. This is by Annie Lights, who's Little Skein in the Big Wool. And this is one of her wedge project bags, which comes with stitch markers. So these are Wizard of Oz themed. And come on. There we go. They're Wizard of Oz themed. So you've got There's No Place Like Home in the Wizard of Oz, and then Wicked. So I'm really, really excited about that. And it's a nice sized wedge bag. Now, you might remember that I said that I fell down, went boom, and ordered the Anne of Green Gables kit. That hasn't come yet, and that's fine. But I'm like, ooh, I ordered that, and I get an Annie Lights bag as well. So this is awesome. Little skein in the big wool. I can't wait to start using it. So I think that's everything from yeah, I think that's everything from Highlands on the Fly. One thing that I had forgotten, because I'm not used to it being on my wrist, is I was looking at Instagram this morning, and I was totally enabled by Minerva Turkey. So Shannon, and she's got a brand new podcast, and if you're not watching it, you should be. That's beside the point. She showed off, I believe it was, she showed off her new swatch. I immediately had to go out and get one, because not only it's got knitting on it. And I was trying to explain to the guy at the swatch store, because there's a swatch store at Pentagon City, which is a mall that's not too far away from us, or from me. Like, he's like, oh yeah, it's one of the new collection, the fall collection, blah, 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 blah. He's like, don't you want to look at anything else? And I'm like, no, that's what I want. I'm like, this is the quickest sale you'll have all day today. That's what I want. I need a watch. And yeah, and he's just like, okay. I'm like, I wish it came in other colors, but I'm okay with that, because it's got knitting on it. And he was just like, okay, sure. And then started talking to me about knitting, blah, 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 blah. And then looked up and was like, did you make that? I'm like, yes, I made my sweater. I'm like, hence why I want a watch with knitting on it. So thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for enabling me into this. Not that you knew that you were doing that, but it's really cool. I'm loving it. I don't know how long it'll last, because I tend to kill watches fairly quickly, but it's got a 2-year warranty, so I can send it back whenever it needs it. All right, so on that note, and that fact that I'm looking down and seeing that we're an hour and 7 minutes in, I think that we can call it a day. What's making me happy? Highlands on the Fly made me happy. You know that. I miss you all so much. So much. And I cannot wait to see you guys again. I know that I'm going to see a few people this spring at Sheep and Wool, at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So yay. Oh, before I forget. So one of my roommates was Christine, Pat's fan. And she left on. We came in, Michelle and I came into our bedroom, and we had these on our pillows one night. Which is awesome. I mean, you know, hi, it's not hockey, so. But this was just great. So yeah, our roommates, we had Christine and Monica, who's Emmy Stitcher on Instagram. And love both of them. And oh, why can't I think of our roommates' names upstairs? Because there were 2 bedrooms downstairs, 1 upstairs. Damn it, I can't remember their names. They were very nice. And I'm gonna remember them as soon as I hit stop. I'm sorry, but we had some of the greatest roommates. We brought a Swift and a ball winder, and that was put to use, so that was nice. But yeah. So yeah, so it's making me happy, is also making me sad, because Highlands on the Fly is over, but I get to see people. So I know I'll see a few of you when you come down for Maryland and Sheep and Wool. The plan is to go out to SSK for the market, because when you've got a couple of people, Sandy, Sandy being the biggest one, saying you need to go. I'm looking at Michelle and I going, you guys need to be there for market. You listen. So I believe we're going to be heading out for SSK Market. So I will see a few of you there as well. And so I can't wait for that, but I also just can't wait until next October because Highlands on the Fly is amazing. If you didn't get to go this year and you were thinking about it, you really should sign up as soon as signups are open because it's just a great time. It's a smaller retreat, which is nice. So you get to know and talk to everybody. If you've got a bad memory for names like I do, you still recognize everybody. It's not like there are brand new faces thrown in every single day. Um, if you're shy, like I can be, you get over that pretty quickly. You really do. So Highlands on the Fly, seeing good friends again, that's what's making me happy this week. Also, tomorrow, Michelle and I are going to see Elton Brown in DC. He's on his tour, and so we have tickets, and that's going to be awesome. It's at the Warner Theater, so that should be fun. And really, we're now in the season of ginger crack lattes. I am so, so happy about that. You have no clue. You really have no clue how happy I am. I walked into the Starbucks that I go into on my way to work, and I only go into it when I've got a webinar, so because I go in late those days. And so they were like, "Do you want hot or cold?" Because they know my drink. But I was like, no, wait, do you have gingerbread latte? Do you have the gingerbread syrup? And they looked at me and went, yes, we do. I was like, that. Gingerbread syrup. Make that happen. I was like, make me a gingerbread latte. Tis the season. It's happiness in a cup. Yay! Yeah, so hockey-wise, the Caps haven't been doing all that great. But we broke a 5-game losing slide. So yay! Last night we played against Chicago, the Blackhawks. And it was an interesting game because we'll be playing them for the Winter Classic as well on the 1st of January. So Danny, my bestie, is coming out for that. So she's flying in, and we're going to freeze our butts off outside watching hockey because that's what you do when hockey's in your town. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw earlier today I posted a picture of me wearing one of the official toques for the Winter Classic because I had to get that. Yeah. Yay! Anyway, so that's me. That's enough of me blathering on for a while. Holy crap, this is a long episode. Sorry about that, but it's been a while since I've done one this long. So, yeah. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. I hope to record within the week, or in a week. We'll see how that goes. I am teaching like crazy for this month, so that's a good thing. But it's just a matter of when I can fit this in. But since I did this big one, you may get another one of me at the office. We'll see. Anyway, have a great week. I will see you next time. Keep knitting, stitching, crocheting, and spinning on.